Oh, well,
And here we go.
here we are.
Good evening. And how is everybody this wonderful Thursday evening? We are taking the journey together, hosted by Imar.
Yes, I'm here.
Yes. And
Someplace else, but I'm here today.
and I'm sorry. And we're both someplace else, but we're gonna continue this journey.
Okay, if you say so.
Yeah, this is a journey that is ongoing.
Mm-hmm.
And uh, you know, one of the things that somebody was telling me today. First, I'm going to tell the motto before I go any further. We are going to relate. It doesn't matter where mother, father, sister, brother, uncle, auntie, Jesus, anybody says. We are
Mm-hmm.
going to relate. At taking the journey, we believe in relating on a balanced manner. And when we say balanced, what we mean is being friends and lovers, connecting with the person who is our friend, growing that relationship into a lovership, and relating in that manner. That's a balanced way.
Mm-hmm. Is it in that order, too?
Yes, you need to start with a friendship.
Got to work on that for real.
Yes, and friendship is the hard part
And I
to
wonder
work with
why.
because we're not taught to be friends. To
Oh,
be
we're not?
friends. Mm-mm.
Okay.
I don't think we are, and
Mm-hmm.
I could be very wrong with that, but I don't
No,
think
I don't think you are.
I don't think we're taught to be friends, especially with the opposite gender. We are taught to, hang out, and we call our girlfriends our best friends, and you
Mm-hmm.
know, the I don't know how the guys say it, you
Boys.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but that connection, that camaraderie
Mm-hmm.
is not something that is instilled in most male female friendships as children.
Mm-hmm.
And as if you start off as friends as children, as you grow up, parents and other people tend to get in the way of y'all getting too close.
Mm.
Just because puberty hits, y'all getting too close.
Okay.
Well, that's when you need to continue that closeness. I'm coming to learn,
Okay.
and because you've already established a friendship, and so what you build from there is something different.
I
But
think also cultural conditioning because you're kind of stepping around at this time, and I'm not, in the mood from that end.
right,
That we don't always look at our cultural conditioning as being some of the way that we relate or how we don't relate well with one another. There's always been a battle for a long
mhm,
time because of how slavery and racism has been in this country between the power game between black men and black women. Let's just be
oh
honest
yeah,
about
it's
it. It has
definitely
been.
been set up.
And because of that, and how this particular society has it so that a black man is made to look at, he shouldn't, really, he should be, seen but not necessarily
Hmm.
heard. Then we saw how that's corrupted or has caused a lot of dysfunction in relationships between black men and black women. Myself, coming out of a single parent, family most of my life, and being a single parent. What is it? A single. What is it? A fatherless father and a fatherless son, and seeing the dysfunction that comes from that in my relationships I've had in the past, including still the conditions that we're working on right now, has
Yes.
a lot to do with the fact of that missing piece of friendship.
Mhm.
That says, when it comes to connecting to a black man, you can't ever be a friend with him. He's going to always be jive. He's always going to in turn, talk some crap. I got to watch what I
Mhm.
say on it. He's always going to be about himself, about I,
Right.
and he's not going to really try to be about a we. Community wise, yet we have example like Malcolm X, we have example like Martin Luther King, Stokely Carmichael, so on and so forth, who are about we in the community. And in turn, that says that they affected a lot of other younger brothers or other brothers who are not at that higher level who have that we concept too,
Mhm.
and trying to take that and trying to present that in their relationships, but yet they'll run into a battle from the standpoint of, nah, I don't believe that you, nah, I don't think you're really about that, nah, I don't think that you really want to be a real friend to me in a relationship. So there's a battle that goes on between relationships, especially African Americans, between us. And it's really sad too. I don't see much TV shows. I don't see much media helping us
There
whatsoever.
aren't
We
any.
ain't having no Leave It to Beaver shows. We don't have no Hallmark shows. We don't have anything like that. It's always the rest of them like Power, and the rest of
Mhm.
them were, playing off of one another, trying to make each other be like we thought we were friends, or we'll never will be
Mhm.
friends. Or at the end of the show, I told you he was no friend in the
Yeah,
first place.
it's basically, in shows like that, which I can't bring myself to really to watch because
Mm-hmm.
it's always um
We got Donnie back again, Mr.
It,
Black. Hey, how are you doing, man?
it's always, you know,
Doing good, brother. Just trying to move on. Trying to move on. Hope you're moving on in life too. Go ahead, Sharon. I'm
it's
sorry.
always like, you know, I've got to one up you, so
Mm-hmm.
therefore I can't trust you, and therefore we will never be um, on that right page. We'll never be comrades, or it's just those shows are so negative. And I've been an avid reader most of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Well, most of my life, as long as I could be able, was old enough to read.
Mm-hmm.
But even reading
It's
fiction,
fundamental.
yeah,
Hmm.
exactly. But reading fiction,
Mm-hmm.
reading nonfiction,
Mm-hmm.
biographies and everything, you never hear a lot about the friendship of within a black couple, within a black family, within,
Mm-hmm.
even you can talk, you can read about some of the strongest, specifically black women who have been successful,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't, in their memoirs, in their biographies, you don't read about
If there was
the
a good
strength
black
of
man behind,
the black man
yeah,
who was
behind it.
helping them to
The
do
old
this.
saying,
And see,
if it's a, what is it? What's the old saying?
behind every good man is a good
And
woman,
then the other way
and
around.
and then the
You
other
don't
way
usually
around.
hear that if
But
it's
here,
a
but
sister.
here's,
No.
but you know what's the problem with
What's
that?
that?
It's always somebody behind them,
Mm-hmm.
not beside
Side
them.
exactly. I like that. Yeah.
And that's and we fall into that, and we believe
So
that, and we grow up with that, and we're all affected
So
by that.
how is it that you deal with it? Because even you are having trouble in this relationship of that matter. Because a lot of people, when they see you and they relate to you, they say that, oh, she must be the one that's keeping this relationship together.
Oh,
She
please.
must be the one that is somehow schooling him, or or she must be the one that's carrying him. Because we know he can't be no good. You know how do you kind of deal with it when you know that is
It's
just
not the
not the
fact.
truth at all?
Yeah,
It's a stereotype
yeah.
that's presented out there. How do you deal with, or do you even deal with it in the public when sometimes we get in the public and we get that?
I do the best I can, but people
Mm.
tend to not even want to believe me. It's like, oh, she's just saying what she feels like she has to say.
Oh
and
yeah,
and
yeah.
and
She's being forced to.
yeah.
I'm forcing you to. Like,
And
yeah,
that's not
force
the
you.
case,
Yeah,
because
right.
you know my experience is
Mm-hmm.
the friendships that I have had with males were not friendships that grew into
Mm-hmm.
loverships. The one friendship that I tried to have
Mm-hmm.
to grow into lovership, the friendship died out once once we became together and married, and all of this friendship didn't take a backseat. It almost fell off the boat.
Exactly. You're
And so
welcome, Donnie, Miss Black. That's what we're gonna plan to do more, is have some more transparent or hot conversations, because we're not on here trying to be celebrities. We're not on here trying to in turn see how good we look from that end, because the thriving relationship, that healthy relationship, it is a relationship system. It is a relationship way that anybody can plug into. Anyone can start trying to practice that, to update, to upgrade, or to start following the relationship. It ain't something just her and I have to do, or we
no,
just do, as being an example. Because I'll be honest with you, sometimes we ain't good examples.
no.
But that system can work for you. It can. Why? Because we're talking about friendship. Friendship has worked for years when it comes to human beings, from that end. So we know this can work. And so we're still struggling. We're still working on it. You can kind of tell the kind of, how can I say it, little vibe right here today. We had some problems before we got on the show, no doubt about it. But we want to keep it real. But at the same time, keeping it real, we want to tell you about some things that we feel are also right
Yeah.
from that end. So don't take it that this is a show is all about me or all about just her. This is all about trying to present to you a way that you could take in life and be in life, and it will definitely help you as you move on. Okay. Now go on. You would get me talking. Oh, hold on. We got someone else who just dropped on the show. Young lady, go ahead. What's she saying?
It says, thank you too for having that conversation. Relationship and friendship is vital. It absolutely is. And it's one of those things that we understand friendship as something that is important, but what we don't understand is how to make it the most important part of a relationship.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it should be, and you can't say not being in a friendship is all his fault, not being in a friendship is all her fault. Not
Mm-hmm.
being in a friendship is our fault. We
Yes.
need to work on that. We need to know how to say, you know after last night, I'm not feeling too friendly towards you today, so give me a minute.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
At least you're being honest
Oh,
about your
oh, oh,
feelings.
oh, oh,
And
or
I have trouble with that.
yeah, you know, you
I
do.
do.
You do. She's the kind of sister that grew up in such a way when it comes to showing that romance, when it comes to showing that tenderness. She run from that kind of more than one generations where they don't really show that. She's in the books, she into things like that, so she really don't. But it's called love language, to be honest with you. That's not her love language. Well, my love language is I love the positive affirmations, words that are in turn giving me encouragement, give me uplift. And there's a lot of brothers I know who need that and want to hear that. I also in turn like the passion that comes from what is it, affection and touch, and that's not really always part of what she does. So those kind of things called love language, which we're going to talk about another time, is just important too because that's all part of what friends.
Friendship.
That's all part of
Yes.
friendship.
Yes.
Yeah.
And but what we have to do
Mm-hmm.
when you're in a situation like I'm in,
Mm-hmm.
or when you come from relationship backgrounds
Mm-hmm.
or background like I have, you got to realize that you got to learn this all over again.
Oh, for the first time.
Yeah.
You might as well for you the first time.
It's all over again because well, yeah, it is kind of
It is
like the
for first
first
time.
time
Most people
because
don't.
it's so far back.
Most people have not grew up with the idea that we could be friends
Yeah,
and lovers. Come on
yeah,
now, they haven't.
they haven't.
Those who
And
I in turn actually watched or observed in my life,
yeah,
especially in the urban community,
mhm,
no, that just didn't
yeah.
exist whatsoever. Period. No, no one's doing that.
And like I said,
Not really.
with my last relationship, I
Mm-hmm.
went into it with that attitude.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is gonna be my best friend.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna, build this to this place. Somewhere along the line, we stopped being best friends.
Didn't have much examples. Didn't have
Exactly.
much. What I don't want to use fundamental ideas and laws and principles to actually practice them, and let
Hmm.
alone have some actual, which what I said before,
Yeah,
examples. You really didn't have none. So you did the best that you could, but
yeah.
please,
But the best we could was not enough to sustain it.
no.
And that, I think, is one of the reasons that a lot of relationships fail.
Mm-hmm.
It's not so much the finances,
Mm-hmm.
it's not so much the lying, it's not so much the infidelity,
Mm-hmm.
it's the friendship that fails. Because when the friendship fails, then that opens the doors for the lying, for the
Mm-hmm.
misplaced finances, for the infidelity,
Mm-hmm.
for the, all of the other things that come in, because you don't have that link that says, this is not what I should, this is not how I would treat my friend.
Exactly. See, someone just made a comment. Check out see what the comment is. Show it up here. Why don't you read what? Hey, that was Mr. Ellis or Miss Ellis. I don't know which one.
I,
Okay.
I'm a young person, and I notice that some of my girlfriends, boyfriends treat them in a way that is not pleasant. How do we get young women to watch and listen to the advice you two give?
Okay, Sharon, I'll let you take that one. He's a young person. He said, "My girlfriend." So this must be a lady, right?
I think so.
Yeah, yeah. Why don't you go ahead and say something about that?
Um, one of the ways we can do it is learn it and pass it on. And this is why I say this, as
Mm-hmm.
this is kind of something I was talking to you about
Mm-hmm.
the other day. As a high school teacher, I see some of the same things that you say, that you were just mentioning, and we were talking the other day that sometimes girls come to me and I have to say certain things to them, but what I give them are the principles that we talk about here. You got to be hot. You've got to um,
Hot, honest,
honest, open,
open,
and
and
transparent.
transparent.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell them about that. You've got to be honest with your girlfriend. You got to be honest with your boyfriend, whatever. But the best way to get them to understand is to start talking to them about what you hear. And then once they start hearing that from you, say, hey, why don't you listen to this with me? Why don't you come see this show with me?
Exactly.
uh, and then you have that conversation with them while they're watching the show.
And with that conversation and you being there, you can check to see if their vibes are really down with it. They really feel
Yeah.
it. Just like you do with anything else. Do they really like this kind of show I want to watch? Do they really like this kind of place I want to go?
Is there not enough drama
It,
to keep interest?
exactly. So this is the kind of information you are going to want to know if they vibe with it, if they click with it. Because if they do, then you know they can be a good friend to you when you want to move on in a long-term relationship. So you need to tell your young ladies or the friends you know. I'm talking about even males too, with young ladies or women too, because it's grown just as much as you're young.
Mhm.
You got to check them out first, and you want to check them out not just how they look, not just how well that back end looks, that beauty from behind, yeah, how well that car is. You want to see, can they really deal with being a friend with you? Can they really, like I said, your desire seems to be either to being true or easily understood by one another. Can they comprehend what you're talking about? Can you hear the words that are coming out of my mouth? Sometimes people don't pay attention to what you're saying whatsoever.
And
And you ask them later on another time, they don't know what the heck you said with
right,
one another.
right,
So yeah, those kind of things are
right.
important.
And you've got to, you got to make sure that um they want to hear that. Sometimes they don't want to hear it.
Yeah, yeah.
They're not ready to hear it.
Yep. And as you
Yeah,
say that, because sometimes I can use tough love, which I do,
yeah.
tough love with you on
And I'm
the
not in the
friendship,
mood, and I'm not
and
ready.
yeah, or many times you
Yeah,
ain't in the movie ain't ready,
right.
because
And
you
so,
never had I don't think you had real friends. I think you
yeah,
had mostly pushovers most of your life, or
I
associates.
I had
Yeah, you
I had
did.
a lot. I had more associates than I
I
had
know you
friends
did.
because I was a person that
Kept to
I
yourself.
kept to
There
myself.
you go.
Yeah, I kept to myself. My best friend, my
Mm-hmm.
best friend was my grandmother. She didn't pull any punches with me,
I bet you she
and
didn't.
that was it was limiting though.
Mm-hmm.
It was limiting in the scope of what my expectations were. I could
Mm-hmm.
hang out with her all day long and enjoy myself and have some good
But
talks and
through
things,
her,
but
she taught you what friendship really is.
yeah,
That's what she taught you.
yeah.
But you did not see that transfer into other folks your age or other particular
Right.
males, because there's not a traditional thought process
Hmm.
or a system that's built or a belief in our
Exactly.
community that says that we can be and we should be friends. I
Right.
think the way our community has been messed up under the guise of no unity, I would think at this basic level of relationship, we should be about trying to be friends to
Hmm.
build our community.
Yes.
If you ask me,
Yes.
yeah.
But and a lot of us stay inside
Mm-hmm.
um rather than when I say stay inside, I mean we go to work,
Mm-hmm.
we deal with the people at work,
Mm-hmm.
we go home, we go to church, we go home, but we don't, we build some relationships, but not deep relationships that way. And we need to.
Okay. Our engineer said, Miss Elias, another way that you can do is share our link with your friends, and that's with everybody else. Share your link and our link, or actually
The link.
the link itself, for ATR, with your friends, so they can remember to come and be at the show or get back to the show when we're on Thursdays at 6 o'clock right here, and they can get all the information and get it straight hand instead of it just through you. So that's always important to be able to do. Again,
And
what?
that's what friends do too.
Hey, you're
Friends
right.
friends will share things that
Yeah,
are
yeah,
important.
exactly.
Like
Yeah,
you will tell
yeah.
your friend, "Oh, I saw this TV
Mm-hmm.
show. There's this new show, or you got to watch that show."
Mm-hmm.
And it may be just an escape from reality. It may be just an escape from all of the mess that you went through
Yeah.
at work that day.
Mm-hmm.
But the
Mm-hmm.
bottom line is you are going to share that with your friend because you know your friend needs an escape from their job too. Well, this is important in another way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is um, building from the inside, people building. Yeah,
Exactly. Well, I mean, like people, it's actually just relationship building.
relationship
We
building.
really are
But
trying to build
you
relationship. To be
also
honest
have
with
to
you.
build a person sometimes too, and
Well,
that's why I said that because
in the
in the
relationship,
relationship,
there's all peoples or called
yes,
folks.
yes,
And so we are building peoples in the
in the
relationship. We're
relationship,
just trying to build them so that they could become friends with one another. That's
exactly,
what's trying to be
exactly,
done.
yes, and that's very important,
Hmm.
very very important. So Um,
So you want to start a little bit of talking about friendship. I know we didn't go off, but we went the
yes.
direction that we should. But you want to talk a little bit about we were talking about true friendship. So because this is the real basis that we really need.
Yeah, and and what a true friendship is, and I'm going to reiterate that, is
Mm-hmm.
a connection that goes far beyond the physical, even the emotional. It's a bond that is spiritual, two souls vibing and intertwining with one another in
Mm-hmm.
celebration and understanding and passion and peace. And that's just from that basic part, you look at your relationship and you realize you may have some of that,
Mm-hmm.
but do you have all of it? And that's one of the things that we need to think about, is building on to those aspects that we don't have, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so, um you know one of the things that we have talked about is your desires seem to either be in tune or easily understood by one another.
Mm-hmm.
Quite often, if we're being honest, that's the ideal. But to have a healthy relationship, sometimes we're gonna have to just flow with it until we get there, as a building block, I guess you could say. We also talked about, you you can't imagine living without that person.
Mm.
And that
Stop.
is a very
Stop.
strong.
Let me ask you this question.
Hmm.
I'm gonna be right up front to put you on the spot. Could you imagine yourself living without me? Tell the truth, shame the devil.
You know what? When we
Come on
first
now.
when we first went across that,
Uh-huh.
I thought about that.
Oh, you did.
I did. I thought about that. I mean, to me, it was a logical way to go, and every now and then I fall into
Mm-hmm.
logical. Um, what I came up with was, no, I don't really want to have that thought in my head of I can do without you.
Well, look at this real quickly. Mike, we get more questions than usual, but Mike asked this. Sharon, go on. What is that?
Do you think it's the music these young boys listen to that have them mistreating women?
Oh, that's a no-brainer. Yeah, some of the music is.
Yeah,
And we're talking about rock, we're talking about country, we're talking about heavy metal,
yeah,
we're talking about
all of it.
some of the hip hop that's out there, gangster or whatever. Yeah, trap out there. Yeah, we know that. It is the some of the lyrics and some of the beats they'll definitely do that. And it's not just for the towards the women.
Yeah,
They're treating the men
yeah,
like how they are just sexual objects,
exactly.
or guys just to pay you, take
Hmm.
care of you with
Yes,
money. That's it.
yes.
As for them having anything deeper inside of caring, compassion for
Hmm.
the world and
Yeah,
for you as a being, let alone something. No, no,
right.
nothing at all. So no, yeah, music has a lot to do with that. I mean,
It
it's always been
does.
music. Always been very strong. Has its own
Yeah,
language.
and the problem is, um, parents or people who are in the position um, to be a role model,
Mm-hmm.
they don't listen to the music. They down the music without hearing what is really being said, and
Mm-hmm.
so they can't counter, or they won't counter the messages that they're picking up.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just the music by itself.
Mm-hmm.
It's never the music by itself. It's the fact that these young people are being left, these young men are being left to synthesize this information by themselves, in with these young minds that have no experience or no wisdom. The
Mm-hmm.
wisdom is missing
Okay.
from helping them to understand, which is one of the things with friendship. The wisdom is missing on telling young people how to be friends with one another.
Or just missing in the first place of,
Yes.
hey, friendship is a very important jewel to add or make part of your relationship when it comes to marriage or long-term partnerships.
Or dating,
Hmm.
you know.
Yeah, yeah, even in dating too.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I think.
They just want to skip right over it.
Yep, yep, yep. So you have not and cannot imagine life
And
with
that's
no
what I
person
said.
that
I
you said about
cannot.
you. You have a longing to understand and be understood by them. many times in that relationships, I know it was with me, I have a longing for people to understand me. Don't always happen that way,
Yeah.
but a longing to have people to understand me. Sometimes I don't care about anyone else understanding me,
Mhm.
honest with you. But to have my mate, the person who's
Yeah.
that I have made the decision to make a strong relationship, and the relationship's going to be long term so we can build, I certainly want to make sure that they understand me.
Mhm.
It's important for that, for them
It
to
is.
understand me, good and bad, but
It,
it's
yeah.
important. And so friendship is that tool, that vehicle to do that. But you notice when we brought that up, it says a long term understanding and be understood.
Mhm.
We many a times want that understanding in that relationship,
Yes.
but we don't necessarily want the other part. What's the other part?
To be
To be
understood.
understood.
Yeah.
What do you think that also means on that other side? Because it's like a relationship thing here.
It is.
Understanding, understood.
It's that give and take. You
Mm-hmm.
know, um, I understand you,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't feel like you're understood. You don't feel like that is what's actually happening. And sometimes
Mm-hmm.
we get into relationships where people tell us about ourselves
Mm-hmm.
instead of learning about us so that they can understand truly where we're coming from. They will put us in a box
Mm-hmm.
and say, this is what you are like,
Mm-hmm.
this is who you are,
Mm-hmm.
this, but it's not necessarily, maybe there are bits and pieces,
Mm-hmm.
but not always. And that's another issue
Mm-hmm.
within friendship.
That would be
That,
the side I would go with you when it
mhm,
says about the understood. That's
yes,
the comprehension part.
yeah,
And if you're in a relationship that's long term, that person like you can expect yourself, if you knew it or didn't know it, purposely or not, you're not going to stay the same. Your
right,
body's not going to stay the same.
right,
How about that? I don't care how good, how well you try to keep yourself
hmm,
looking young. It's not
hmm,
going to happen. But your places, the people you see, the thought process that you
hmm,
have, they won't be the same. Especially if you're trying to connect as a relationship,
right,
you two are going to mix and match,
hmm,
sometimes disagree about ideas and stuff.
right,
So that is a ever changing
hmm,
process in that
right,
relationship. Life is about change anyway. I don't know why people think it's not about change. We just got to
hmm,
learn how to deal with the change using wise kinds of ways. And friendships usually are a way to stay with someone for a long time, because friendship has always had the ability to be able to go with the flow with
hmm,
changes with one another or between individuals and beings. So with that, that comprehension side has to do with, hey, this person, as I observe them, as I'm around them, I'm going to get to learn them more.
right,
And that becomes more of that understood side,
hmm,
comprehend them
yes,
more as we live together. And I know sometimes even me, I'm at fault of trying to know, get things done right now, get to know who you are right now, because I think it's important up front.
hmm,
But even knowing who you are up front, that snapshot up front, though many times we put on our best self that first time
yes, yes, we
doing the
always do.
courtship, and after the
Hmm,
courtship, the ugly comes out.
yeah,
But still, and still there's that learning process, that journey process, that hopefully is a venture of learning that person, that even I'm trying to learn
hmm,
and be more comfortable with you as
right,
I'm comfortable with you, as we relate together and
hmm,
create what we're trying to do in our relationship. Yeah.
yeah, and that's important, and that's one of those things that's hard to let go sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes we think, here's one of the things
Mm-hmm.
we say to people, you're just like my friend so and so.
Mm-hmm.
But what we don't realize is, then we'll try to put them in that box.
Mm-hmm.
I've done this many times. We try
Mm-hmm.
to put them in this box, but what we don't realize is there are aspects of my friend, but you've had different experiences from my
Mm-hmm.
friend, and so maybe there are things about you that remind me of her,
Mm-hmm.
but you're not just like her. And so that not just like her part is the part that I need to learn.
Yeah, yeah. Well, now you just mentioning how sometimes in a relationship, even you and I have been at guilty of doing it. That as you're just like this person,
Yeah,
you're acting just like this person, and our usual response is, "I don't like to be named
yeah,
or trademarked
pigeonhole.
or pigeonholed like somebody else."
Yes.
Some reason there's like a uncomfortableness,
Mhm.
even though we do take on traits We
Yes.
do take
Yes.
on ways about ourselves, even including words. We're not talking about the physical part
Mm.
from mom and dad and family,
Yeah.
but we do take on those things society wise.
Mhm.
Our hood, our neighborhood we came from, our culture we come from. We take on some of those things with us and in
Yes.
turn relate them in our relationship. Some people call it that baggage that
Yeah.
you carry.
Yeah.
And everybody carries some kind of baggage. One thing is for sure, and those baggage can be triggered too in the relationship.
Mhm.
But those things come along too in the relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's true. So and that's one of the things. If we're really building a friendship, we're going to have to be careful about building the friendship with who we are.
Mm-hmm.
With who they are, because we can get lost in that if we're not careful about really getting to know that person
Mm-hmm.
and claiming, oh, you're my friend, when you may not be being friend like yourself.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. I think the journey today, because of the fact that we had like a little argument before we got on this phone. Excuse me, on because we do a radio program, of course. What it was, I think it's on the bottom.
Yep, it is.
Yes, 107.5 WRUU right here in Savannah, Georgia, 90.11, or you can get it also too, as you see at the bottom, online. But we just were arguing about something before we got online, and argued with one another was about how sometimes we will act very romantic, very open in the bedroom scene, because that's our connection on the lover side. But once you live out of the bedroom, seems like I don't know you.
Yes. It's like
What
it's
did
like
you do?
what, huh? When
Uh,
who, who are
exactly.
you?
I kind of like what.
Yeah.
Okay, should I leave my money up on the desk on the dresser? Is that what I should do? Because I felt like I just was a trick.
I'll, I'll leave my phone number just in case.
Exactly.
That and and a lot of times that has to do
Mm-hmm.
with the other part of life
Mm-hmm.
that becomes overwhelming,
Mm-hmm.
that becomes consuming for
What
a
other part would
greater
that be,
a
Mass?
greater period of time. Work,
Mm-hmm.
family, children. I'm just talking in general terms. These are some other things that can come into play and kick that friendship, that lovership out of proportion
Mm-hmm.
as far as its importance is
Yeah,
concerned.
I think also too specifically, sometimes we have cultural conditions
Mhm.
that, again, going back to this whole thing that says we can be lovers, and we learn somehow about
Yes.
lovers, whether it's through porn, whether it's what we learn from the streets,
Or
whether we
whether we
learn from
just
our own
fell into
experiment
it.
or just fell into it, whatever it may be. So we learn that cultural condition that we can definitely be lovers.
Mhm.
Okay, we definitely can, especially when it comes to the long-term marriage, a long-term relationship. We can definitely be lovers. But after that part, many of us like, I don't know what to do after that.
Yeah.
I mean, after we lovers, we sucked, ducked, and everything else, and made us feel good after you got out of bed. I don't know who you are because we have no
Yeah.
experience, we have no mind
Exactly.
thought behind it
Exactly.
whatsoever,
And
to make
and
that
so it's
connection.
like,
Sadly.
okay, on to the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
At that point.
Yeah.
But which is one of the reasons why it's good and important to cultivate a friendship,
Yes.
because you will know, or you will understand, or you will sense what to do next.
I like that word you were sensing. That vibe is there. You
Hmm.
were sensing. So how do you sense that vibe when the argument before we got on the phone was you were having a hard time sensing that? How do you sense that? I mean, obviously the show helps you focus back on it,
Hmm.
and so you can roll that back again. How do you sense it? Because I look at the word sensing in the relationship, to do with how well do you flow with the
Yeah.
relationship, like water. How well do you
Hmm.
flow with it?
Yeah.
The change, the synchronicity, the spontaneousness that's involved with it. Because we're talking about change from an
Hmm.
old way that teaches you to be this way, but now you're flowing in another way using friendship as your basis. And friendship can
Hmm.
go up and down, go for years, and so on and so forth. So how do you flow with that, when that's not what you were doing, let's say, the day before?
Yeah. Well, one thing that I am learning, thank you very much,
Mm-hmm.
is somebody has got to um, mend things or start the mending process.
Mm-hmm.
And whether you feel it or not, when you sense that it's time to move on, that this has gone as far as it should,
Mm-hmm.
somebody's got to say I'm sorry, whether they believe it or not.
Ah, so
Yeah,
we'll call them up with the sorry thing, the
yeah, the
apology.
apology.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it doesn't matter if you don't believe it at that particular time.
Mm-hmm.
Say you're sorry, because then when you process through the whole thing, you may find out you truly were completely wrong.
Well,
So,
my experience, starting from my mama,
oh, I'm sorry.
sorry was not something that came from out of her mouth. And most of the sisters I've dealt with, no, sorry was not a big thing. In fact, I'll besides just sisters, I know some of the women I let in my life, not dated, but just knew them at work and stuff.
Mhm.
Sorry and apology was not something that mostly came out of their mouth
Yeah,
at all. They
yeah,
was like they always right, and you got to be wrong by even thinking that I was
yeah,
wrong in the first
yeah.
place from that particular. So how do you move into that area of saying I'm sorry over something that in turn you may not even felt any conviction, any guilt whatsoever? So how are you going to do that?
It's not easy, and it's not been an easy transition for me.
Hmm.
And
I wonder why.
not that I think I'm always right,
Mm-hmm.
but because um sometimes I I have this very defiant side of me.
Duh.
And it's like, no, just, you're making a mountain out of a molehill, and it didn't have to be this much. And so,
And
you know,
that's that when we talked about the first time when we were in here in the battle of the moment,
hmm
that in a cultural condition with black folks relationships,
hmm
that's where that power struggle is.
yes,
Who's going to be right? Because I know
exactly.
there's just some alpha males who are just as, I know some right now who are just as strong about being right. Some people say, so are you, Mr. Butts, and sometimes I am. There's
Yeah.
no doubt about it. um 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 so when we got those two in our relationships who are both, very strong-willed,
hmm
very opinionated, and very much sometimes egotistical,
Yes.
how does sorrow come in? How does anyone feel that conscious guilt or conviction intellectually,
hmm
guilt feeling wise? How do
hmm
you get any of that or one of that if both are like, nah, ain't gonna happen?
Sometimes you don't. Sometimes one person just is like, I'm done with this. I'm through with it. I'm tired of it.
Hmm.
I just don't want to deal with it anymore. And therefore, uh, look, I'm sorry. Let's just work
It's
on
it,
this.
Mr. Say says up there. Here's what he has.
It's unfortunate that so many of us have such a hard time forgiving each other, but forgiveness is the bridge to relationship help.
Amen, ashe,
Yes,
and amen from that, my brother. No
absolutely.
doubt about it. And we are going to sometime later on talk about the 4 or 5 steps in
Forgiveness.
forgiveness, because there's
hmm
4 or 5 steps in the forgiveness. Some people just bypass it. They say I'm sorry, and that's good enough, and
And
they
we'll say
move.
that, and we'll say that to you. Well, I said I'm
Sorry.
sorry. What more do you want? I,
Exactly.
well, I want you to be sincere for starters. You
Uh-huh.
know,
Uh-huh.
uh,
But there's some other steps besides that
exactly.
in real apology or
hmm
saying sorry. It's just
Yes.
not just words you just say. But one thing is for sure, if both of us are feeling that way, and
hmm
not sorrow or sorry,
Right.
how do you move to that in this area that we're talking about in the conflict? Because there is a way, and I'm not, trying to say it up front. Maybe those who are listening might want to, put in the comments, what way do you think when both people are loggerheads, both are, banging against each other, both of them are feeling like they're I'm not going to say the rest of the
And
words.
the
They feel, how,
conversation
how, how, do-
is
how do you
getting
how do you get
louder
over it?
and louder and
Exactly.
louder.
How do you, when we're talking about a healthy, thriving relationship, how do you move? How do you flow like water? How do you flow in that?
Mhm. You're asking me, or you're waiting for somebody
I was
to?
waiting for somebody else to say something
Yeah.
because I think I got a pretty good answer for that
I,
one. I think I'm pretty
I
sure.
want to hear your answer, but
Yeah, I would
you
love to
know,
hear someone, maybe
it's
someone something to say.
yeah.
Maybe they ran into in their own experience and said, "Well, this is what we did to actually get over the hump. I got to get over the hump." So I'm for real
Yeah,
about that because that does
because it's
happen.
important.
Hmm.
It's important because sometimes those disagreements ramp up, even in strong friendships.
Yes.
Those disagreements can ramp up sometime,
Hmm.
and it's like, but then the
You see,
first
you just
thing
gave
is,
it away, but go ahead.
Oops.
You gave away. Since no one's saying it, it is. It's back to the same thing again.
Mm-hmm.
How well, for first of all, is friendship at the center of your relationship?
Mm-hmm.
How well have you cultivated your relationship?
Yeah.
If you've cultivated your relationship, then over time, you two are not going to be at a battle with one another in the matters of what we think, what we feel, and what we want to do in life. Because at friends, we will find those things that we in turn connect with,
Mm-hmm.
build on,
Yeah.
expand in,
Yeah.
that become in us,
Mm-hmm.
not just an I.
Yes.
So during that time, that battlement we're having,
Mm-hmm.
the only thing we thinking about is I. We ain't thinking about no
Yes.
us.
Exactly.
We thinking about I. We gotta
Yes.
have our
Yes.
way. There ain't
What
no us
I'm
in it.
feeling is more important than what you're feeling.
Exactly.
What I'm saying is more important than anything that you can say, whether it's countering what I'm saying
Mm-hmm.
or agreeing with what I'm saying. I can't even hear you
Mm-hmm.
because I need to be heard.
Exactly.
You know.
So there ain't no us involved.
No.
It's a I thing
Mm-hmm.
that's being involved.
Yes.
A stronger friendship will, when it's cultivated and built, will have some place in the back of your mind, never to let it ramp up, or like in the police kind of situation, not escalate. I'll say it
Yes.
again, not
Don't
escalate,
escalate.
so that in turn, someone, hopefully both, will remember we are in the us
Mm-hmm.
thing. We're not in the I
Yes.
thing. We're in the us thing.
Yes.
We're supposed to be friends in the
Mm-hmm.
us thing.
Yes.
And so, therefore, since we're in the us thing, it's important for us to look at this from an us point of view. And one of the ways that you can look at things from an us point of view is, first of all, you don't necessarily take when something happens personally.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
It could be something that had nothing to do with you.
Mm-hmm.
It could be something that they had a bad day.
Yeah.
They didn't feel good. So
Mm-hmm.
if I'm a us person, I'm gonna know sometimes I have bad days,
Yes.
and it got nothing to do with you.
Yes.
And I would hope that you would better hear me out. So that'd be the same thing that you would want that other
Mm-hmm.
person to do the same
Yes.
thing to. Again, that's an us approach.
Mm-hmm.
You are not trying to approach this thing that it's about I. And usually in those arguments that about that I thing,
Mm-hmm.
most of the time we ain't thinking about, hey, that other person is feeling bad. The
Right.
only person you
Right.
think about is I'm feeling bad, and
Mm-hmm.
some of that badness that you're feeling about may have nothing to do with that person at
But
all.
now you have rubbed it off on them.
Exactly. Exactly.
You've shared the anger. You've
Hmm.
shared the uncomfortableness. You've shared whatever it is with your friend.
Yeah, exactly. And they're probably saying, "Shit, I'm feeling a friend of yours."
Yeah. The friend don't want to be a friend right then.
Nah, you ain't being
Yeah.
friendly to me. So no, hell
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Engineer, I hope do I have to put a penny or something in the cup? I don't know what the PG thing is here. I got to watch my language. So
Yeah.
he didn't tell me. So I asked
It
him.
must be okay since he didn't say anything or
No, he hasn't said
so
nothing about it.
we're gonna pretend it never happened.
Okay,
You know,
good.
I won't tell if you won't
You won't
tell.
tell. Okay, so let's come. Still moving on. I think we're doing
Okay.
good. Let's kind of move on. What's the next thing about trying to build this friendship thing?
Your conversations have clarity, depth, and openness, which is part of the hot, the
Mm-hmm.
openness part. Um, clarity and depth. In other words, if you're gonna be talking about something, try not to be vague, especially starting off. Facts, pride aside, either of us individually is smaller than us together. That's true.
That's he pretty much was giving us as an amen crowd.
Yep,
When it came to
absolutely.
what we were speaking from that end. Hey, good. Hey, we'll take up our offering at the end of the show. But thank you for that anyway, my
Yeah,
brother.
that's
Thank you.
and that's it's always good to know that we're speaking to people who understand and can agree.
Hmm.
We're
Hmm.
we're not fighting that uphill battle constantly.
Agree without having to be
Yes.
too disagreeable. And sometimes in relationships, that's what we have to do. We can
Yes.
also can agree not to be disagreeable. I didn't want to say during that time where two got loggerheads like that. I didn't want to say the usual kind of thing that counselors talk about, which is sometimes you have to walk away from one another.
Yeah.
That's the usual kind of
Yeah.
conversation
Get some
or
space.
result. It gets some space.
Yeah.
And sometimes that may have
Yeah.
to happen.
Yeah.
Um,
But the
yet,
thing,
go ahead.
okay, I'm sorry. You go ahead.
No,
Go
no,
ahead.
no, no, no. Go ahead.
But the thing of it is, if you need a moment
Mm-hmm.
to walk away,
Mm-hmm.
don't walk away and stay away hoping that you don't have to face it anymore.
Very good.
You
Very
know,
good.
walk away, get your head together,
Mm-hmm.
get your emotions together,
Mm-hmm.
you know, come to a place where you are spirit driven, and go back to it and say, look, we need to let calmer, what did they say, cooler heads prevail or something like
Yes, if
that.
that, yeah.
And let's
Hopefully, it'll be
iron this,
yours.
out. But let's talk about it from a different place.
I remember when we did our things on River Street. I
Hmm.
remember I used to walk around when I did the Mr. Brown show on
Yes.
Sundays, and we'll go around and talk to the older couples who'll be out listening to the
Hmm.
Motown sound. Remember, I talked to older couple from Russia or something like that. I can't remember. Been married for over 50 years,
Yeah.
maybe longer than that. And I asked them, "How did you stay married for 50 years with your wife there?" And
It was, I think it was a little bit
yeah, I
longer
think it
than
was
that.
longer than that.
Yeah.
Come to think of it. And so while he was answering, I didn't look at him. I looked at her. And he said, "It's not like we don't argue, and it's not like we don't have fights." He said, "But this is one thing we do. We do not try to go to bed without what?
It's solving it. Yeah.
Apologizing. That's part of the solution.
Yeah, well, that.
Apologizing."
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard that more than once. It's like a
Yeah.
cliche thing.
Don't go to
It's
bed
going
angry.
angry. But yet I could tell by looking at her, not him, that's truly what
Yeah.
they've been doing.
Yeah.
That they've made it an effort that, hey, if we don't get along, we ain't talking with her. At least when we go to bed with one another, we're gonna, like you say, talk it out
Hmm.
or ask for forgiveness to find a solution.
Yes.
Me and you are guilty that we don't do that
Yep.
as much. I mean, we don't argue as much as we could or should. No, I'm just joking. But there's certainly not that. You're tired
Hmm.
many times. I'm
Yeah.
staying up late at night too,
Yeah.
doing my thing. But I think that's very crucial
It is.
for us because that also brings up what we also know in a balanced relationship, that there is no such thing as perfect. It just
Exactly.
doesn't exist whatsoever. So that means there's no such thing as perfect. Even with a friendship relationship,
Hmm.
you're going to run into those times when you're not going to be
Yes.
so true friends.
Yes.
You're not going to be
You're
at that
gonna
level,
you
especially if it's new for
you
you.
know, and arguments are gonna happen
Mhm.
because you are not gonna see eye to eye 100% of the time. That's just not a part of it. So yeah.
I don't know who this young guy by the name of Mr. Says.
Vaughn.
He's got a lot to say, young brother. Go ahead. I hope he's in a good relationship or looking for one. If not, make sure that in turn they listen to the show. But you can see that front chair. He
Yeah,
says
it
what?
says, brother, your comment about taking nothing personally is such a key in establishing and maintaining relationship harmony. I'm enjoying the show.
Then, well, thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We really appreciate that. And and I would say to you too, my friend, I was out there. It's always easier said than done. But one thing is for sure, if you sink yourself into that principle that we had before called hot, honest, open, and transparent, then it's easy for you to be in sync
Hmm.
into some of the things we talk about. If you are a transparent, open person and you're not comfortable and you're not feeling happy about something, you're not going to keep it in the
Right.
relationship. I'm not saying you should go out and tell everybody else that because not everybody else is going to want to be in your relationship or you
Hmm.
want everybody in your relationship. But in your relationship, at least you're going to want to be open and talk with them and present that to them. And with that, then there's more room for expansion. Like this expansion, we're talking about forgiveness.
Right.
There's more room for that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and or expanding your friendship.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that, you know, you can't just practice friendship in the house. you, you got to do things together. You got to talk together. You got to, build memories together. That's part of
Yes.
having a friendship
That's
too.
true. Thank you.
You
Thank
know,
you. Because
it.
sometimes I'll stick my head in that computer doing all the stuff that I do, and I forget about getting outside, even though I love doing that. And you
Yes.
have to move me to another direction. Either we go
Yes.
out and do our RVing, or like we're going to be going out of
Take a walk
town, or all
or
the projects we do.
yeah.
You have to move me that kind of direction
Hmm.
because I'm so focused in a certain particular area, and
Yeah.
I know that's important for you as a friend, right? But
Exactly.
it's not like it's not
Because
important to me too.
because one of my favorite things is quality time. You know,
Yes. That's your part of your love language. That's
exactly,
part of your love language.
exactly,
Yeah,
which
that's
is
the top
which
one.
is which is building that
Mhm.
that to me it's the basis of building that friendship, spending that quality time together.
Do you want to see what Mr. Says again?
Yes.
Mr. Says. What he said? What look at he saying?
I'm in a 31-year harmonious marriage. Congratulations. My wife claims to
Woohoo!
be the happiest woman on earth. laugh out loud. Oh, we need to meet them.
What we will do is, because as we do on our talk show on WRUU 107.5 for the last 2 years, we have had many guests that come on our
Yes.
show, and we've been talking to an engineer about having some guests on the show. We probably will get you on our show one of these times. What you'll need to do is go through the process of actually getting us your information. And if you get us some information,
Oh,
and even though we see that you're on air, no, we'll have our engineer make
yes.
sure that he moves and makes this happen so we can have you and your wife on our
Mhm.
show one of these times. It'll be soon, of course, and you could kind of jive in with us or talk with us so they can see that the example of a thriving relationship, that tactic, that way, that plan, that pipeline, or whatever you may want to say, is a relationship that anyone can plug into,
Mhm.
any couple can plug into,
Yes.
and it could be successful. So it's not just a Craig and Sharon or Imar and Zaria thing. This is something that people should, can, and move to and make
Mhm.
their relationship even that much more expansion, make the relationship even that much more better or happier, like this particular young man was talking about. And thank you very much for chiming in. We hope to see you more, and or at least hear from you more. Then we'll see
Exactly.
your relationship too. Yeah,
Yes.
wow, that's good. I love
But
that.
oh, absolutely, absolutely. We're getting close to the end of the show. This
Yeah,
it
went
goes
very, very fast, very,
fast.
very fast, like it usually does
Yes.
with our shows. What's our other show that we do? I'm showing it right there. It's
The
coming
other
Saturday.
the other show is at
Mm-hmm.
9 o'clock
Mm-hmm.
on WRUU.
Mm-hmm.
They what do they call it? Savannah Soundings or something like
Something
that.
like yes.
On
No, it's called Radio with Soul.
yeah,
Radio with Soul. Yeah,
yes.
exactly.
It's from 9 to 10 every Saturday morning.
And what are we talking about on that one now? What's our topic now?
On that one, we're talking about resolving to enhance your relationship.
Yeah, it's a good one. So
Yes,
kind of like a diamond, another facet of
yes,
friendship. So if you want to tune into that this Saturday, make sure that you tune in at 9 o'clock,
yes,
107.5. And of course, down there, it also, I think it talks about where you actually can go. Oh, do I have it? No.
yes.
Do I have it?
It was down there.
No, I don't have
Oh,
it down. Let me do it right here. Yeah, here it is. Is this? Yeah, there it is. There's the website address where you can actually go to listen to the show
yes.
if you want to, and get some another,
Mhm.
I guess,
Yeah. Another aspect
diamond
of
aspect,
yes,
information, whatever you may want to
yes.
call it. Yeah.
Because with that one,
Mm-hmm.
with the New Year's, everybody does New Year's resolutions. I'm gonna lose
Mm-hmm.
weight. I'm gonna go to
Mm-hmm.
the gym. I'm gonna start eating healthy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna blah 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 blah. But they never say I'm going to work at improving my relationship. The
Mm-hmm.
relationship is just going on as it is.
Okay, I'm doing the.
Okay.
I'm popping up these things. The engineer's popping up. I guess he wants me to do his job. I mean, excuse me. I guess he wants me to do this. Look at you. He
Make
agreed that.
sure you tune
What? What?
in
Make sure you do.
to Living Proof on ATR every Tuesday at 7 p.m.
Exactly. So that means living proof. Since we just did something for you, you better make sure you get us on your show to make it one hand does make it a win-win situation for us all for the ATR network. So we
Yes,
all got to work together as a
A-
family in the first place to make it
ATR
happen.
network that's growing, growing, growing.
He's
We
telling
got to
us we
have a
got
show.
7 minutes. He just told us we got 7 minutes for the
Yes.
countdown. So we'll just keep that in mind. 7 minutes. You want to talk one more part about this, and then we're going to have to sign off here since we got 7 minutes.
Okay. You share something far beyond love. And that's one of the
Mm.
things we have a lot that we have in common that we
Mm-hmm.
enjoy
Mm-hmm.
uh, together, and a lot of things that we share. Like some of the things that we were talking about,
Yes.
doing things together
Mm-hmm.
and just making the fun in life. And um, yeah,
Fun, fun,
yeah,
fun. Oh wow.
far beyond love. And with friendship, it's sometimes you can just sit and just be silly, and like you say, sometimes you're not here to entertain me, but you're funny.
Yeah.
And
I'm trying
it's
to
like
get you to be a little more
he's
funny.
funny and I'm boring, but
But yet I got a picture of you looking like a clown with a red nose
I
on
don't have
because you
red
because you
nose
at one time decided to be a clown as a job one time. Now
no,
you,
no,
what was it?
I was at I was at a parade someplace
Uh
with
huh.
my daughter, and somebody was just passing out these red noses. I don't know what it was about or anything.
Hmm.
And the next thing, I had one in my hand. Well, I took it home. I laid it on the counter, and one day I just decided to put it on for you.
Mm,
That's what that was.
Hey, they say laughter is like medicine for your soul, my sister. So, and
Yeah.
it's not
I
necessarily
don't know what that
clowning,
is. Yeah,
but laughter,
laughter is.
smile
Oh,
a little bit.
and I love to laugh. I love to
Yeah, you
laugh.
do. You do a lot in the
I
school with them kiddies because I've been in your classroom. You come home, you look at me like, make me
well,
laugh.
they
Let me
wear me
entertain you.
out.
Yeah,
I really
they do.
yeah,
Okay.
they wear me out. But
Mm,
yeah, I need a nap when I come home.
okay. Tell you your age, not your color. I mean, your how you look from that
Yes,
end.
yes,
Yeah, yep,
it's
yep, yep,
yes,
yep. So we want to discover our ins and outs of this person, the secrets, the pieces
yes.
and parts that make them who they are. That's what we're trying
Hmm.
to do. Just not just like a risk for return, but this relationship we want to go below surface deep.
Yes,
So this is really what
yes.
it's all about. Trying to go below surface deep is very, very
You get
important
to
in a
the
relationship.
true
Yeah.
person.
And you can't fall for that statement is I love you so much you'll never understand. What? I've heard
Yes,
what? Are you joking? Yeah.
sweetheart, you just don't know how much I love you.
And you're absolutely correct. When you say that,
Yeah,
that's the problem. I really don't know.
that's nothing to be
Mm-hmm.
proud of.
Mm-hmm.
Show it, share it.
Mm-hmm.
Let it be known.
Exactly. Okay, I don't know what we have. I got 56 on my clock, and I don't know what my engineer is at. I guess we got to still a little bit more left to go. Oh, he's back again. He hasn't told me how much time we got
Well,
left, but we
well,
only got about
just gone
we got 56. Looks like we got 4 minutes.
5 minutes.
About 5 minutes? You
Yeah.
think so? We got 5 minutes? No, he said
No.
no. He got his hands up. He said we got 4 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, so 4 minutes.
So
So
for
with 4 minutes, what are we going to say?
for 4 minutes, we are going to talk about
Mm-hmm.
our friendship journey
Okay.
as
Mm.
we
In
close
four
out.
minutes?
We're going to close out our friendship
That
journey
quick?
by saying that it's a never-ending story.
Never ending story.
Yeah, that was a movie. It was a never-ending story.
You make me smile saying that from that end.
It is, but and that's one of the good things about building friendship
Mm-hmm.
and people changing.
Mm-hmm.
You always are in that changing too, and as people change, you
Mm-hmm.
have to build another aspect of that friendship.
I couldn't.
And I feel like I'm talking
I,
this, and
I,
and
is he
Mr.
trying to
and
talk this
Mr.
to me
and
and trying to get me to believe it?
and Mr. Relationship over here is saying,
Hey, I'm from Kansas City. You got to show me.
yeah, sure, whatever.
Truth and verify is what has to go along with me from that end. Hey, but one thing is for sure, because I can tell he's already moving on us real quickly. I look at it as more as a journey. Taking the journey is a journey, and the journey has to be adventure. Adventure could be up, it can be down. You watch all those journey kind of movies, adventurous kind of movie. It's adventure.
Something that you don't expect.
Exactly.
Coming around the corner.
Exactly. I didn't expect to feel this good. And when the show started, I mean, really, I dumped on the engineer and he dumped back on me. I kind of dumped on you. Exactly. You did too. Okay, Mr. Engineer, we've had enough. Have you had enough with us? You can go ahead. Until next time, God bless. Ashe. Amen.
And
keep that relationship
to
together.
The journey
together. Exactly.